Hello guys, welcome to Ben 10 What If. So in this video, we will see what if Ben 10 could control the Omnitrix perfectly. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, Perfect Control. The Rust Bucket 3 shot through the night sky above Bellwood, its engines humming with Kevin's latest upgrades. Inside, Ben Tennyson lounged in the co-pilot seat, feet propped on the dashboard until Gwen swatted them down. Feet off the console, doofus. Kevin just installed those sensors. Ben rolled his eyes but complied. Not like I couldn't fix them if they broke. He tapped the Omnitrix on his wrist, sleeker now, its green and black surface gleaming. Gray matter could repair them in like 30 seconds. Kevin glanced over from the pilot's seat. Yeah, well, some of us spend actual time working on this stuff instead of just dialing up a solution. You're just jealous, Ben grinned, spinning in his chair. The Omnitrix beeped, its holographic display projecting automatically. Ben didn't even look as he swiped through alien profiles with practiced precision. Show off, Gwen muttered, but couldn't hide her smile. At 16, Ben had changed, taller, more confident, his brown hair slightly longer and more styled. But the biggest change wasn't visible. Over the past 6 months, something had clicked with the Omnitrix. The random timeouts, the mistransformations, the glitches, all gone. Ben and the device had achieved perfect harmony. The plumber alert system chimed, cutting through their banter. Trouble at the Bellwood power plant, Rook reported from the communications station, his feline features illuminated by the console's blue light. Energy readings suggest Dr. Onimo and unusual radioactive signatures. Ben was already on his feet. Again. That's the third attack this week. Something's up. You think? Kevin deadpanned. The Forever Knights on Monday, Zomboso's circus yesterday, now Onimo. Almost like they're coordinating. Or testing us, Gwen added, her eyes glowing briefly with mana energy. Ben shrugged. Then let's show them what we've got. Rook, how far out? 3 minutes, but too long. Ben moved toward the ship's exit bay, activating the Omnitrix with a casual flick. The holographic display spun, and Ben selected without even looking. I'll meet you there. Ben, wait, Gwen started. But he'd already slapped the dial down. In a flash of emerald light, Ben's form shifted and expanded, reptilian wings sprouting from his back as his skin turned blue. Jetray's transformation completed in seconds. Catch you guys later. His voice was altered but unmistakably Ben's confident tone. He hit the airlock release and shot into the night sky. Kevin shook his head. Remember when he used to get stuck as the wrong alien half the time? I almost miss it, Gwen sighed. Kept his ego in check. Rook's mouth twitched in a rare smile. We should hurry. Even with perfect control, Ben Tennyson remains impulsive. Jet rays streaked through the night air, the wind rushing past his aerodynamic form. The power plant came into view, a sprawling complex now partially illuminated by flashes of unnatural purple light. Ben didn't slow down. Instead, he twisted his hand to the Omnitrix symbol on his chest. With a quick tap and flash of green, Jet Ray dissolved and Big Chill materialized mid-flight, wings spreading wide without losing momentum. 2 for 1, he murmured to himself. Let's make it 3. As he approached, Big Chill phased to intangibility, passing through the roof of the main generator building. Inside, chaos reigned. Mutant frogs the size of cars bounced between machinery, their bodies crackling with the same purple energy Ben had seen from outside. Workers cowered behind equipment as Dr. Onimo stood on a makeshift platform, a modified helmet amplifying his commands. Yes, my beauties. Absorb the power. Soon you'll evolve beyond anything those fools at the university could imagine. Ben remained invisible, floating directly above Onimo. With perfect timing, he tapped the Omnitrix again. The flash gave him away, but by then it was too late. Swampfire's plant-like form materialized and dropped onto the platform beside Animo. "Hate to break it to you, Doc, but the only thing evolving tonight is your prison sentence." "Tennyson." Animo snarled, recovering quickly from his surprise. "Right on schedule." That made Ben pause. "Schedule? What are you?" A massive frog tongue shot out, wrapping around Swampfire's torso and yanking him off the platform. Ben crashed into a generator, electricity arcing across his plant body. "My pets have been enhanced with Nosodinian DNA, Animo cackled. "How do you like their electrical upgrades?" Swampfire grabbed the tongue and channeled heat through his palms. The frog croaked in pain and released him, but 3 more were already closing in. Ben slapped the Omnitrix again. Feedback's black and gold form replaced Swampfire instantly. "Electricity? Seriously? That's like bringing chips to a guy who owns a potato farm." Ben extended his antennae, drawing in the electrical discharges from the nearest frog. The creature deflated slightly as its energy was drained. "I counted on that, actually," Animo said with unsettling calm, pressing a button on his wrist controller. All the mutant frogs suddenly turned purple and leaped toward Ben simultaneously. As feedback absorbed their energy, the Omnitrix symbol on his chest flickered, not red, but briefly purple before returning to green. Ben felt a strange tingle but shook it off. "Nice light show, but I can do this all day." He redirected the absorbed energy in a massive blast that knocked back half the frogs at once. The Rust Bucket 3's engines roared overhead, and seconds later, Gwen's mana platforms carried her, Kevin, and Rook through the broken skylight. "Took you long enough," Ben called, dodging a frog while casually touching the Omnitrix. Diamond Head's crystalline form replaced feedback without missing a beat. "I've got 5 frogs down, 7 to go." Kevin absorbed metal from a nearby pipe, armor coating his body. "Show off." "You said that already today," Ben laughed, forming crystal shards in his hands and firing them with precision to pin 2 frogs to the wall. Gwen's eyes narrowed as she cast a spell. Somnus Perpetua. Purple mana wrapped around 3 frogs, sending them into an instant sleep. "Ben, something's wrong. The energy signature here is familiar," Rook finished, scanning with his proto-tool. "It contains traces similar to corrodium, but with unknown elements." Ben converted his arm into a blade, slicing through the control panel on Animo's platform. "Ask questions later. Fight now." Dr. Animo didn't seem concerned as his equipment sparked and failed. Instead, he checked his watch. Perfect timing. Data collection complete. "What data?" Diamond Head demanded, advancing on Animo. The scientist merely smiled. "Phase 1 successful. You performed exactly as projected, Tennyson." He pressed another button on his wrist, and a teleportation field surrounded him. "Your control over the Omnitrix is impressive, almost perfect." "Almost." Before Ben could reach him, Animo vanished in a flash of light that wasn't his usual teleportation technology. It pulsed with that same purple energy. The remaining frogs suddenly collapsed, reverting to normal size as the mutation wore off. Silence fell over the power plant except for the hum of damaged equipment. Ben tapped the Omnitrix, returning to human form with a flash of green. "Okay, that was weird, even for Animo." He rubbed his wrist absently. "Did the Omnitrix look purple to any of you for a second?" Kevin kicked one of the unconscious frogs. "Nope. But I was busy, actually fighting instead of cycling through aliens like TV channels." "I saw it," Gwen said quietly. "Just for a moment when you were feedback." Rook continued scanning the area. "These energy signatures do not match any known technology in the Plumber database." "And Animo's not exactly Mr. High-Tech," Ben added. "Someone's supplying him." "The question is who," Gwen said, kneeling to examine residue left by one of the frogs. And why they're so interested in how you use the Omnitrix. Ben shrugged. Because I'm awesome at it now. Come on, let's wrap this up. I promised Dad I'd be home for dinner. As they secured the scene for the plumbers, none of them noticed the small drone hovering in the shadows of the rafters, its lens focused on Ben's Omnitrix, transmitting data to someone far away. Pass the potatoes, sport. Ben handed the bowl to his father, who scooped a generous portion onto his plate. Dinner at the Tennyson household had become a rarity with Ben's increasingly busy schedule, but he'd made a point of being here tonight. His mom had made her famous pot roast. So, his mother ventured, anything exciting happened today? Ben exchanged a glance with Gwen, who joined them for dinner. Just the usual. Stopped Dr. Onimo from turning frogs into batteries. That's nice, dear. His mother had long ago mastered the art of treating alien encounters as normal conversation topics. Did you finish that history paper? It's due tomorrow, isn't it? All done, Ben said, taking a bite of roast. Did it as brainstormed during patrol last night. Got it done in like 20 minutes. His father frowned slightly. Ben, we've talked about using the Omnitrix for homework. Dad, it's still me doing the work. I just think faster as brainstorm. Gwen rolled her eyes. The problem isn't that you're cheating, Uncle Carl. It's that he's getting lazy. Says the girl who uses magic to clean her room, Ben countered. That's different. How? The familiar argument was interrupted by Ben's phone buzzing. He checked it under the table, a text from Julie. Tennis match tomorrow. Can you make it? His heart did a little jump. Things with Julie had been complicated since his Omnitrix mastery. She'd taken a break from their relationship during her tennis tour, but they'd been talking again recently. No phones at the table, his mother reminded him. Sorry. Ben slipped it back into his pocket, making a mental note to respond later. The Omnitrix suddenly beeped, its interface lighting up unbidden. A voice emerged from it, Asmitha's. Tennyson, we need to talk. Everyone at the table froze. Asmith rarely contacted Ben directly, and never for casual conversation. Can it wait until after dinner? Ben asked. No. The projection of Asmitha's face looked grave. Something is attempting to access the Omnitrix remotely. My security protocols blocked it, but this is the third attempt today. Ben's mind flashed to the purple energy at the power plant. Would this something leave a purple energy signature? Asmitha's eyes narrowed. Explain. As Ben described the encounter with Onimo, his parents exchanged concerned looks. By the time he finished, Asmith was uncharacteristically silent. I will investigate further, the Galvan finally said. In the meantime, be vigilant. Your mastery of the Omnitrix has not gone unnoticed across the galaxy. Is Ben in danger? His mother asked, maternal worry overriding any protocol about interrupting the creator of the Omnitrix. The boy is always in danger, Asmith replied dryly. But perhaps more so now. Perfect control of the Omnitrix makes him both more powerful and more valuable. I can handle it, Ben assured everyone confidently. Asmith made a noise that might have been a scoff. Perhaps. I'm sending someone to assess the situation. Expect contact within 24 hours. The communication ended abruptly, leaving an awkward silence at the dinner table. Ben's father cleared his throat. Well, how about dessert? Later that night, Ben lay on his bed staring at the ceiling, the Omnitrix glowing softly on his wrist. He'd replied to Julie, promising to make her match. His room had changed over the years, fewer childish posters, more tech, a workspace for Omnitrix maintenance that Asmith had reluctantly helped design. He raised his arm, activating the holographic interface. The alien cycled past, all the old favorites plus dozens more he'd unlocked. Perfect control hadn't just meant better transformations, he'd gained access to combinations and features Asmith had never mentioned. A tap, and the display changed to a personal modification, a log of recent transformations, usage time, and efficiency ratings. Ben had become analytical about his hero work, tracking which forms worked best in which situations. The data scrolled past: Swampfire, Big Chill, Feedback, Diamond Head. All used efficiently today, quick changes with minimal energy expenditure. His finger paused over Feedback's data. There, a tiny anomaly in the energy pattern during transformation. Almost unnoticeable, but Ben had become attuned to every nuance of the Omnitrix. Something had briefly interfered. A light knock on his door interrupted his analysis. "Come in," he called, deactivating the display. Gwen poked her head in. "Hey. I'm heading home. Just wanted to check if you're okay after the azimuth call." Ben sat up. "I'm fine. Just trying to figure out what happened with Feedback today." Gwen entered, closing the door behind her. "I've been thinking about that. The energy reminded me of something, but I can't place it." Onimo said, "Phase 1. Whatever this is, it's just starting. And someone's coordinating these attacks." Gwen sat on the edge of the bed. "Zomboso, the Forever Knights, and Onimo don't exactly hang out together. Unless someone's bringing them together." Ben's eyes narrowed. "Vilgax? Maybe." Gwen's expression turned serious. "Ben, be careful. I know you've got the Omnitrix working perfectly now, but what?" He couldn't keep the defensiveness from his voice. "But you're getting overconfident. Switching aliens every 5 seconds, going solo, showing off." "It's not showing off if you can back it up," Ben argued. "I've never been better at this, Gwen. The Omnitrix does exactly what I want, when I want it. Why shouldn't I use that?" "Because perfect control doesn't mean perfect judgment." She stood up. "Just think about it, okay?" After she left, Ben flopped back onto his bed, irritation bubbling. Everyone was so quick to warn him about his abilities. No one seemed to appreciate how hard he'd worked to master the Omnitrix. The device beeped suddenly, an incoming transmission, but not from plumber channels or any recognized source. Ben sat up, instantly alert as he activated the communication function. A holographic display appeared above the Omnitrix, showing a female face Ben didn't recognize. Human-looking but with subtle differences, slightly green-tinged skin, oversized eyes with vertical pupils reminiscent of a Galvan. "Ben Tennyson. My name is Eris Vex. Azimuth sent me." Ben studied her curiously. "That was fast. He just called a few hours ago. I was already en route to Earth." Her voice had an unusual accent, words precisely formed. "I've been tracking unusual energy signatures targeting Omnitrix technology. May I meet with you tomorrow? I've got school, then a thing in the afternoon." He wasn't ready to mention Julie's tennis match to a stranger. Eris nodded. "Evening, then. Shall we say the abandoned plumber base in Sector 7? Less chance of surveillance there." Ben's suspicion flared. "How do you know about that base?" "It's not on public records." A small smile curved her lips. "I helped design its security system, along with several of Azimuth's other facilities. I'm his former research assistant." "Former?" "We had disagreements about the application of certain technologies." Her expression revealed nothing more. 1900 hours tomorrow. Come alone, this information is sensitive." The transmission cut before Ben could respond. He stared at the empty air where her image had been, mind racing. Azimuth had never mentioned an assistant named Eris, especially not one who appeared to be a human Galvan hybrid. He reached for his phone to call Gwen, then stopped. If this was a trap, bringing his team might just endanger them. Besides, with perfect control of the Omnitrix, he could handle whatever was waiting. Decision made, Ben set an alarm for school tomorrow and tried to sleep, the Omnitrix glowing steadily on his wrist. For a moment, just before he drifted off, He could have sworn it pulsed purple again, but when he looked directly at it, the familiar green light was all he saw. Bellwood High hadn't changed much since Ben started attending. Same beige hallways, same overcrowded classrooms, same mix of students who either knew about his identity as Ben 10 and were used to it, or remained oblivious despite the numerous alien attacks on the school. Ben slumped in his chair during history class, half listening as the teacher discussed World War II. His completed paper sat in his backpack, thorough, well-researched, and written with Brainstorm's advanced vocabulary that he'd had to tone down to avoid suspicion. His phone vibrated. A text from Kevin, Vulcanus spotted downtown. You coming? Ben glanced at the clock. 20 minutes left in class. He raised his hand. Yes, Mr. Tennyson. The teacher sighed, clearly expecting another bathroom excuse. Can I be excused? Plumber emergency. Ben had stopped bothering with pretenses at school. The faculty had an arrangement with the plumbers. As long as Ben maintained passing grades, his hero activities were accommodated. Take your things. The assignment is on the board for tomorrow. Ben was out the door in seconds, transforming into XLR-8 in the empty hallway and racing toward downtown Bellwood. The speed alien's acceleration felt effortless now. Ben could control exactly how fast he moved, maintaining perfect awareness of his surroundings even at top velocity. He arrived at the scene in minutes. Vulcanus and his minions were attempting to steal palladium from an electronics manufacturer, and Kevin was already engaging them, his body coated in steel from a nearby construction site. About time. Kevin called, blocking a punch from Vulcanus's mechanical suit. XLR-8 darted between the minions, creating a whirlwind that scattered them. Had to get excused from class. Some of us still go to school. School's overrated, Kevin grunted, getting thrown back into a wall. Ben tapped the Omnitrix, transforming into 4 arms without breaking stride. Says the guy who wanted help with his GED last month. 4 arms charged Vulcanus, all 4 hands grabbing different parts of the mechanical suit and pulling. Metal groaned as Ben's Tetraman strength strained the joints of the armor. Wait, stop. Vulcanus yelled as his suit began to come apart. Why should I? 4 arms demanded, continuing to pull. Because I'm just the distraction. Ben paused. Distraction for what? A massive explosion rocked the building behind them. Ben whirled. To see a secondary warehouse engulfed in flames. That, Vulcanus said smugly. Ben immediately slapped the Omnitrix again, transforming into Heat Blast. Kevin, keep him here, he shouted, generating a fire platform under his feet that propelled him toward the burning building. As Heat Blast approached the warehouse, he saw workers fleeing the flames. Using his pyrokinesis, Ben began drawing the fire into himself, absorbing and controlling it. The heat was intense, but as Heat Blast, he found it invigorating rather than dangerous. Everyone out, he called to a security guard staggering from the smoke. There's still people in the research lab. Basement level. Ben dove into the inferno, navigating through collapsing structures with practiced ease. The basement access had been blocked by debris, but a quick transformation to Armadillo let him tunnel through. Inside the lab, he found 3 scientists huddled under a table as smoke filled the room. Hold on. Ben created an air bubble by transforming to Terra Spin, his powerful wind generation clearing the smoke and providing breathable air. This way. One scientist looked up in surprise. Ben 10. But the call just went out minutes ago. I was in the neighborhood. Ben extended his shell to shield them as he guided the scientists toward his tunnel. Stay close. As they neared the exit, the building groaned ominously above them. Ben instantly switched to Diamond Head, forming a crystalline dome that protected the group as the upper floors collapsed. The impact was tremendous, but Ben held the structure, creating support columns of crystal that stabilized their escape route. Move, he urged the scientists through the tunnel. Once they were safely outside, Ben emerged from the rubble, shifting back to Heat Blast to continue containing the fire. Fire trucks had arrived, and Ben worked with the firefighters, strategically absorbing flames until the blaze was manageable. Only then did he return to where he'd left Kevin and Vulcanus, finding Gwen had joined the fight, her mana shields containing Vulcanus's remaining minions. Vulcanus? Ben asked, returning to human form. Kevin jerked a thumb toward his car, where the diminutive alien was visible in the back seat, his mechanical suit nowhere to be seen. Taking a nap. Your cousin hits hard. The explosion was a diversion, Gwen explained. While you were handling that, someone broke into the company's secure servers. We caught Vulcanus, but whoever accessed the data is gone. What did they steal? Ben asked. That's the weird part. According to the IT guy, they only accessed one file, research on containing and transferring energy between different molecular states. Kevin crossed his arms. Sounds boring. Or exactly what you'd need if you were studying transformation energy, Ben said slowly. Like from the Omnitrix. The realization hung between them. First Onimo's data collection, now this targeted theft. I'm meeting someone tonight who might have answers, Ben said. Azimuth sent her. Her. Gwen raised an eyebrow. Some former assistant of his. Eris Vex. Kevin and Gwen exchanged looks. What? Ben demanded. Azimuth doesn't have assistants, Kevin said. Except Myax, and that didn't end well. And he definitely doesn't send them to Earth without talking to Grandpa Max first, Gwen added. Ben hesitated. She knew about the old plumber base in Sector 7. Said she helped design it. Trap, Kevin said immediately. Obviously, Ben agreed. But it might be our best chance to figure out what's happening. I'm going. We're going, Gwen corrected. Ben shook his head. She specifically said to come alone. If it's a trap, I can handle it. He tapped the Omnitrix meaningfully. Ben, Gwen started. I've got perfect control now, remember? Whoever this heiress is, whatever she's planning, I can transform faster than she can blink. Ben's confidence wasn't just bravado, he genuinely believed it. Besides, I've got Julie's tennis match first. I promised I'd be there. Kevin looked skeptical, but nodded. Your funeral. But keep your plumber badge active so we can track you. Deal. Ben glanced at his watch, his actual watch, not the Omnitrix. Speaking of which, I need to clean up before the match. See you guys later. He transformed into Jetray and took off before they could argue further, leaving Gwen and Kevin standing amid the debris of the battle. He's getting reckless, Gwen said quietly. Kevin watched Ben disappear into the sky. No, he's getting dangerous. There's a difference. Bellwood Tennis Complex was packed for the regional championships. Ben had arrived early, securing a good seat to watch Julie play. She was competing in the semi-finals, her playing stronger and more confident than he remembered. As he watched her powerful serves and precise returns, Ben felt a mixture of pride and regret. They'd drifted apart during her intensive training and his increasing heroics, but the connection was still there. Between sets, Julie glanced up at the stands, her eyes finding his. Ben waved, and her smile made his heart skip. She gave him a small thumbs up before returning to the match. The crowd erupted as Julie won the final point, advancing to the finals. Ben cheered with them, genuinely happy for her success. As the spectators began dispersing for the break before the finals, he made his way down to the players' area. Ben. Julie called, jogging over to meet him. You came. Said I would, didn't I? He smiled. You were amazing out there. She brushed back sweat-dampened hair. Thanks. It feels good having you here. Her eyes flicked to the Omnitrix. No alien emergencies today. Nothing that couldn't wait. He didn't mention the warehouse fire or his upcoming meeting with Eris. I wanted to see you play. A comfortable silence fell between them, filled with unspoken history. So, Ben ventured, finals next, huh? Julie nodded. Against Stephanie Morgan. She's good, really good. Not as good as you. Her smile widened. We'll see. She hesitated, then added, there's a celebration dinner after the tournament. Win or lose. Would you want to come? Some of the other players will be there, but... I'd like that, Ben said quickly, perhaps too quickly. I mean, yeah, sounds cool. The announcement for players to return interrupted them. Julie glanced back at the courts. I should go warm up again. But you'll stay for the finals? Wouldn't miss it. Ben checked the time, still hours before his meeting with Eris. Go kick some tennis butt. Julie laughed, then surprised him with a quick hug before jogging back to the court. The familiar scent of her shampoo lingered as Ben returned to his seat, a stupid grin on his face. The finals were intense, with Julie and her opponent trading games in a display of elite skill. Ben found himself completely absorbed in the match, cheering each point Julie won. For these hours, alien threats and Omnitrix mysteries faded into the background. When Julie finally won on a brilliant cross-court backhand, Ben was on his feet with the rest of the crowd, applauding wildly. The victory ceremony ran longer than expected, with presentations and photos, but Ben waited patiently. As the event concluded, his phone buzzed with a message from Gwen, everything okay? Meeting still on. Ben checked the time with a start. If he left now, he'd barely make it to Sector 7 by 7. Julie approached, trophy in hand, face glowing with triumph. Ben! Can you believe it? His stomach sank as he realized the timing conflict. Julie, that was incredible. You were incredible. But her smile faltered slightly as she recognized his expression. You have to go. There's this meeting, it's important. Plumber stuff. The excuse sounded hollow even to him. The dinner doesn't start for another hour, she said, disappointment evident despite her attempt to hide it. But I understand if you can't make it. Ben glanced at his phone, then back at Julie. At the Omnitrix. Decisions. Give me your address, he said suddenly. Where the dinner is. I'll meet you there as soon as I can. Might be late, but I'll be there. Hope returned. To her eyes. You sure? Positive. He meant it. I just need to take care of something first. After getting the restaurant details, Ben gave Julie a quick hug and congratulations before heading for a secluded area behind the complex. Transforming into XLR-8, he raced across Bellwood towards Sector 7, determination set in his reptilian features. Whatever Eris wanted, Ben would make it quick. He had a date to keep. The abandoned plumber base in Sector 7 had once been a frontline defense facility during the early days of alien activity on Earth. Now it stood empty, its advanced technology stripped and repurposed, leaving only the reinforced structure and basic systems. Ben approached cautiously in human form, the Omnitrix primed for instant transformation. The main entrance remained sealed, but a side access panel showed signs of recent use. Ben pressed his plumber badge against it, and the door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. Inside, emergency lighting cast long shadows through dusty corridors. Ben moved silently, listening for any sound that might reveal an ambush. The main command center was ahead, the logical meeting place. As he neared the doorway, Ben heard movement inside. He paused, quickly cycling through mental options. Ghost Freak would let him scout invisibly, but if this was a trap specifically for the Omnitrix, they might have sensors for transformation energy. Decision made, Ben transformed into Big Chill, his moth-like alien form immediately phasing to intangibility. He drifted through the wall into the command center, invisible to normal sight. A single figure stood at the central console, back turned to him. Even from behind, Ben recognized the distinctive silhouette of Eris Vex, slender with slightly oversized head, reminiscent of her partial Galvan heritage. She was connecting equipment to the old plumber systems, fingers moving with practiced precision. Ben materialized a few feet behind her. Breaking into plumber property. Not a great start to our meeting. Eris didn't even flinch. I was wondering when you'd make your entrance. I detected your transformation energy 5 minutes ago. She turned, revealing features that matched her holographic image, humanoid with distinct Galvan influences in her eyes and a subtle greenish tint to her skin. Then you know I can transform again before you blink, Ben said, remaining as Big Chill. Who are you really, and what do you want with the Omnitrix? Eris smiled, seemingly unintimidated. I am exactly who I claimed to be. Azimuth didn't send me, that was a necessary deception to arrange this meeting. But I did work with him, specifically on early Omnitrix prototypes. Prove it. She gestured to the console she'd been working on. I just did. This system is now displaying your transformation energy signature in real time. Something only someone intimately familiar with Omnitrix technology could accomplish with such limited equipment. The screen indeed showed a pulsing blue pattern that shifted subtly with Ben's movements. The Omnitrix contains failsafes that prevent unauthorized scanning, Ben countered, though uncertainty crept into his voice. True. Unless you know exactly which frequencies to target. Eris crossed her arms. I helped design those failsafes, Ben Tennyson. Just as I helped design the function that allows you to switch between alien forms without reverting to human. That caught Ben's attention. Few people knew the technical details of the Omnitrix's capabilities. Why the secret meeting? Why claim Azimuth sent you? Would you have come if I simply introduced myself as a former Galvan scientist interested in your Omnitrix? She raised an eyebrow. Besides, Azimuth and I don't exactly exchange holiday cards anymore. What happened? Creative differences. Eris turned back to the console. I believe the Omnitrix should be optimized for the user's intuitive control, exactly what you've achieved recently. Azimuth preferred limitations, safeguards, restrictions. Ben's eyes narrowed. And what does this have to do with the purple energy that's been showing up around Bellwood? Eris's head snapped toward him, genuine surprise evident. You've seen it? Purple energy interacting with the Omnitrix. During a fight with Onimo's mutant frogs. The Omnitrix symbol turned purple for a second. Eris abandoned her equipment and approached Ben, excitement clear in her movements. Show me. Transform again. Ben hesitated, then tapped the Omnitrix, shifting from Big Chill to Echo Echo. The transformation was smooth and instant, with no sign of purple energy. Again, Eris insisted, watching intently. Cycle through multiple forms rapidly. Though suspicious, Ben complied. Echo Echo became Humongousaur, then Swampfire, then Jetray in quick succession. On the final transformation, the Omnitrix symbol flickered briefly, a flash of violet among the green. There. Eris rushed back to her equipment, fingers flying across controls. It's happening faster than I anticipated. What's happening? Jetray demanded, landing beside her to view the readings. Someone is attempting to access the Omnitrix remotely, not to control it, but to sample its transformation energy. Eris's voice became urgent. This is extremely dangerous, Ben. Transformation energy in its raw form is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's how the Omnitrix rewrites DNA instantly without killing you. And someone wants to steal it? Why? Eris's expression darkened. There are many possibilities, none good. Weaponization. Power generation. Forced evolution. She paused. Or they could be trying to create their own version of the Omnitrix. Ben transformed back to human, studying Eris's face. You know more than you're saying. I have theories. She met his gaze directly. But I needed to confirm them first by examining your Omnitrix. The fact that you've achieved perfect control may be connected to these attempts. How? Your bond with the Omnitrix has strengthened its energy output. What was once sporadic, the random transformations, the timeouts, is now consistent, predictable. Perfect control means perfect energy flow. Making it easier to track and sample, Ben concluded. Eris nodded. Precisely. Before Ben could respond, his phone vibrated. A message from Julie, dinner starting soon. Still coming. Ben looked at the time with alarm. He needed to wrap this up. I have to go, he said abruptly. But I want answers. Real ones. Eris seemed to measure him for a moment before reaching into her pocket and extracting a small device the size of a coin. Place this on the Omnitrix tonight while you sleep. It will create a temporary shield against remote access attempts. And why should I trust you? Because if I wanted to harm you or take the Omnitrix, I would have tried. Already. She held his gaze. And because whatever is sampling your transformation energy is getting stronger. The next attack won't be mutant frogs or warehouse fires. They're escalating. Ben hesitated, then took the device. I'll have Azimuth verify this first. By all means. Eris's confidence was unshaken. I'll contact you again tomorrow. There's more to discuss. Like who they are. Ben pressed. Among other things. Eris began packing up her equipment. Go. Your girlfriend is waiting. Ben didn't bother asking how she knew about Julie. We're not exactly, details. Eris waved dismissively. The device, Ben. Use it tonight. With a last suspicious look, Ben transformed into XLR-8 and sped from the base, the small device clutched tightly in his hand. As he raced toward the restaurant, his mind churned with questions. Eris seemed knowledgeable, but her story had convenient gaps. And her timing, appearing just as these strange energy patterns emerged, felt too perfect. The restaurant was across town, an upscale place that made Ben glad he'd worn a decent shirt to the tennis match. He reverted to human in an alley nearby and quickly checked his appearance before heading inside. The celebration dinner was well underway, with tennis players and coaches gathered around a long table. Julie looked up as he entered, surprise and pleasure crossing her face. Ben waved sheepishly and made his way to the empty seat beside her. You made it, she said as he sat down. Told you I would. Ben tried to push thoughts of Eris and purple energy aside. Sorry I'm late. The, meeting ran long. Julie studied his face. Everything okay? You look worried. Just tired. He managed a smile. So, regional champion huh? That's pretty awesome. The conversation shifted to tennis, the tournament, Julie's plans for nationals. Ben found himself relaxing, enjoying the normalcy of the evening despite the weight of Eris's device in his pocket. For a few hours, he was just Ben Tennyson, teenager, not Ben 10 with the weight of the universe on his shoulders. As dinner concluded and people began to leave, Julie walked with Ben outside into the cool night air. Thanks for coming, she said softly. Both to the match and here. It meant a lot. I wanted to be here. Ben found he truly meant it. I've missed this. Hanging out, I mean. With you. Julie smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Me too. Between my tennis and your everything, we haven't had much time. Maybe we should make time. The words came out before Ben could overthink them. Something warm flickered in Julie's eyes. I'd like that. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility. Ben leaned slightly closer, and Julie didn't pull away. Their lips had just brushed when Ben's plumber badge erupted with an urgent alarm, the sound piercing the quiet night. You have got to be kidding me, Ben muttered, reluctantly pulling back to check the alert. Julie's expression was a mix of amusement and resignation. Duty calls. Level 10 alert downtown. Ben looked at her apologetically. I have to go, she finished for him. I know. It's okay. Ben hesitated, torn between duty and desire. Rain check. Definitely. Julie stepped back. Be careful, okay? With a nod, Ben ducked into the nearest alley and transformed into Jetray, shooting into the night sky toward downtown Bellwood. As he flew, he pushed away thoughts of what might have happened if the alarm hadn't interrupted, focusing instead on the crisis ahead. The alert led him to Bellwood Plaza, where chaos reigned. Familiar green and black ships hovered above the square, their weapons deployed but not yet firing. Below, civilians ran for cover as armored figures secured the perimeter. Ben's blood ran cold as he recognized the ships and soldiers. Vilgax had returned to Earth. Gwen and Kevin were already on scene, Gwen's mana shields protecting civilians while Kevin, armored in concrete, engaged the foot soldiers. Rook provided covering fire from a rooftop position. Ben swooped down, transforming mid-flight into Humongosaur and landing with enough force to crack the pavement. Where's the squid face himself? Hasn't shown yet, Kevin grunted, throwing an alien soldier into two others. Just his goons so far. Setting the stage for a dramatic entrance, no doubt, Rook called over the communicator. As if on cue, the largest ship's hull split open, a platform descending slowly. Vilgax stood upon it, his massive form instantly recognizable despite subtle changes to his armor. More concerning was the purple glow emanating from new components integrated into his gauntlets. Benjamin Tennyson, his voice boomed across the plaza as the platform reached the ground. I understand you've mastered the Omnitrix at last. How convenient. Ben stepped forward, increasing his size until he matched Vilgax's height. What do you want this time, Vilgax? Another beatdown? Always so confident. Vilgax's eyes narrowed. I wonder if your perfect control extends to countering this. He raised his gauntlet, which pulsed with that now familiar purple energy. The Omnitrix on Ben's chest immediately responded, flashing purple and sending pain shooting through his transformed body. Arg! Ben staggered, the transformation destabilizing. He flickered between Humongosaur and human form for several agonizing seconds before the Omnitrix stabilized back to green. Ben! Gwen called, moving toward him. I'm fine, he growled, focusing on Vilgax. Nice trick. Still won't help you. Vilgax smiled, a terrible sight on his tentacled face. That was merely a demonstration. The real test begins now. He pressed a control on his gauntlet, and all around the plaza, devices planted on buildings activated, creating a dome of purple energy that enclosed the entire area. Welcome to my transformation dampening field, Vilgax announced. Inside this dome, your precious perfect control is meaningless. Each transformation will be random, and each will last precisely 60 seconds before forcing you to revert. Let's see how the great Ben 10 fares with limitations again. Ben glanced at the Omnitrix, which was fluctuating between green and purple. He could feel the interference disrupting the connection he'd developed with the device. Limitations? Ben managed a confident smile despite his concern. I worked with those for years. You're just taking me back to basics. He slapped the Omnitrix, hoping for Diamond Head or Four Arms, something with raw power to take on Vilgax directly. Instead, the transformation whirled unpredictably, settling on gray matter. Seriously? Ben's tiny Galvan form squeaked. Vilgax laughed. The mighty Ben 10, reduced to his weakest form. Fitting. Gray matter dodged as Vilgax's massive fist crashed down where he had stood. Size isn't everything. Ben called, scampering between debris for cover. Gray matter's got the smarts to beat you. You have exactly 53 seconds to prove that theory, Vilgax countered, scanning the ground for Ben's tiny form. Ben's mind raced at accelerated Galvan speed. The purple energy, Eris's warnings, Vilgax's new technology, they had to be connected. The dampening field seemed to be generated by the devices placed around the plaza. If he could disable even one. Kevin. Ben called. Northeast corner. The device with the purple light. Kevin looked where Ben indicated, nodded, and charged toward the nearest generator. Vilgax noticed immediately. Stop him, he commanded his soldiers, who moved to intercept. Ben used the distraction to scurry up to Vilgax's ship platform, quickly analyzing its controls. With Grey Matter's intelligence, he identified the command system for Vilgax's gauntlet. It was tied directly to the ship's power source. Gwen, he called. I need time. His cousin nodded, creating a massive mana construct that resembled a hand, grabbing Vilgax and temporarily restraining him. Vilgax roared in anger, straining against the magical bonds. Ben's tiny fingers flew across the alien controls, rewiring and reconfiguring. Just a little more. The Omnitrix beeped a warning, 10 seconds until forced reversion. Ben worked faster, connecting the final circuits just as the device timed out. In a flash of green, he returned to human form, exposed and vulnerable on the platform. Vilgax broke free from Gwen's restraint, turning toward Ben with rage. Your time is up, Tennyson. Ben smiled, holding up a small component he'd removed from the control panel. Actually, so is yours. He slammed his hand down on the modified console. Electricity surged through the platform, traveling up through Vilgax's armor and into his gauntlets. The purple energy fluctuated wildly, feedback cascading through the system. What have you done? Vilgax demanded as his gauntlets began to overload. Reverse the polarity of your fancy transformation dampening field, Ben explained, backing away. Instead of suppressing Omnitrix energy, it's now being attracted to the source, your gauntlets. The Omnitrix flashed green again, fully operational. Ben transformed instantly into feedback, his conductor-like alien form perfect for channeling the energy now surging through the area. Let me help you with that power management problem, Ben said, grabbing Vilgax's gauntlets and beginning to drain the overloading energy. Vilgax howled in pain and rage as purple electricity arced between them. The dampening field generators around the plaza exploded one by one, releasing the trapped energy back into the air. Ben absorbed it all, his feedback form glowing brighter with each second. The power was immense, almost overwhelming, but with his perfect control restored, he managed it expertly. Too much for you. Ben taunted, continuing to drain Vilgax's weapons. This isn't over, Tennyson. Vilgax broke free, staggering back toward his ship. Retreat, he commanded his forces. As the aliens scrambled back to their vessels, Vilgax fixed Ben with a hate-filled glare. You may have countered this attempt, but we've learned what we needed about your Omnitrix's energy patterns. The collective will be ready next time. The collective? Ben repeated, still channeling excess energy. Vilgax smiled grimly. You'll find out soon enough. The ship's engines fired, lifting off rapidly despite Rook's attempts to disable them. Within moments, they had vanished into the night sky, leaving behind a damaged plaza and many questions. Ben released the remaining energy harmlessly into the air and reverted to human form, joining his team as they regrouped. What was that about? Kevin asked, nursing a bruised arm. Vilgax mentioned something called the collective, Ben said, examining the Omnitrix. It had returned to normal, the familiar green glow steady and strong. And that purple energy again, Gwen noted. The same type we saw with Onimo. Ben nodded, reaching into his pocket to feel Eris's device still there. I had a chat with our mysterious Eris Vex before this. She claims someone is trying to sample and steal transformation energy from the Omnitrix. And now Vilgax shows up with technology that affects transformation energy, Rook observed. The connection seems clear. Too clear, Ben frowned. Almost like someone wanted us to make that connection. Gwen's eyes widened. You think Eris is working with Vilgax? I don't know what to think, Ben admitted. But I'm going to find out. As plumber cleanup crews arrived to secure the area, Ben filled the others in on his meeting with Eris and the device she'd provided. Kevin immediately volunteered to analyze it, his expertise with alien tech making him the obvious choice. "We should contact Azimuth directly," Gwen suggested. "Confirm if he really knew this Eris person." Ben nodded in agreement, but his attention was pulled away by the arrival of news crews. The battle had drawn significant media attention, and as the public face of the team, Ben knew he'd be expected to make a statement. "You guys start on that," he said. "I'll handle the press and meet you at Plumber HQ." As his friends departed with the device, Ben approached the news cameras, putting on his confident public persona. Questions flew at him from all directions, about Vilgax's return, the nature of the attack, the strange energy phenomenon witnesses had reported. Ben answered with practiced ease, downplaying the danger while assuring the public that the threat had been handled. Yet inside, uncertainty gnawed at him. Perfect control of the Omnitrix had made him nearly unstoppable against normal threats, but this was something new. Vilgax, the collective, Eris Vex, the purple energy, pieces of a puzzle that didn't quite fit together. As the interviews concluded, Ben's phone buzzed with a text from Julie, "Saw the news. You okay?" He smiled despite his concerns, quickly typing back, "All good. Rain check still on for tomorrow?" Her response came seconds later, "Definitely. Stay safe, hero." Ben pocketed his phone, transformed into Stinkfly, and took off toward Plumber HQ. Whatever game Vilgax and this collective were playing, Ben was determined to stay one step ahead. With or without perfect control, he was still Ben 10, and that had always been enough before. Little did he know that high above Earth's atmosphere, aboard Vilgax's command ship, the data from their encounter was already being analyzed. The purple energy signature of Ben's transformation pattern scrolled across screens as Vilgax communicated with a shadowed figure on a secure channel. The sample was obtained as requested, Vilgax reported. Tennyson's control over the Omnitrix is indeed as perfect as our intelligence suggested. Excellent, a distorted voice responded. And he suspects nothing of our true purpose. He believes this was merely another attempt to defeat him, Vilgax confirmed, bitterness evident in his tone. Your personal vendetta will be satisfied, Vilgax, the figure assured him. Once the collective has what we need from the Omnitrix, Tennyson will be yours to destroy. He encountered our agent? Yes. Phase 2 is proceeding exactly as planned. Soon, the observer will have everything required to commence the final stage. The transmission ended, leaving Vilgax staring at the data streams from Ben's transformation energy. His expression was unreadable as purple light reflected off his alien features, illuminating the command deck in an ominous glow that matched the energy they had harvested from the Omnitrix, energy that would soon serve a purpose Ben Tennyson couldn't begin to imagine. Chapter 2, The Price of Power. Morning sunlight streamed through Ben's bedroom window, creating patterns on the wall as he examined the Omnitrix. After last night's battle with Vilgax, he'd spent hours checking for damage or lingering effects from the purple energy. Nothing seemed wrong, the device responded perfectly to his commands, transformations executed flawlessly, and the connection between them felt as strong as ever. But something nagged at him. Vilgax had mentioned the collective and claimed they'd gotten what they wanted. If the goal wasn't to defeat him or steal the Omnitrix, what were they after? His phone buzzed with a news alert, Ben 10 thwarts Vilgax again, watch exclusive footage. Ben clicked the link to find high-definition video of last night's battle, complete with commentary praising his quick thinking and adaptability. Great, he muttered. More publicity. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. His mother peeked in, expression a mix of concern and exasperation. There are reporters outside again, she said. And the mayor called. Wants to present you with a key to the city for saving the plaza. Ben groaned. Can't someone else get the key? I was barely there 5 minutes. Fame's the price of being good at your job, sweetie. She smiled sympathetically. Breakfast is ready when you are. Your father's already told 3 reporters to get off our lawn. After she left, Ben flopped back on his bed. His growing mastery of the Omnitrix had brought increased media attention, public appearances, and expectations. Some days he missed the relative anonymity of his early hero days, when half his transformations went wrong and people weren't constantly filming his battles. His phone buzzed again, a text from Julie, "Still on for today?" That brightened his mood. After their interrupted moment last night, Ben had promised to take her to lunch. A normal, teenage activity without aliens or press or world-saving. "Absolutely," he replied. "Pick you up at noon." Her response came quickly, "Looking forward to it." Thumbs up. Ben got up with renewed energy. He had 3 hours before meeting Julie, enough time to swing by Plumber HQ and check if Kevin had learned anything about Eris's device. 20 minutes later, showered and dressed, Ben made his way downstairs. His father sat at the kitchen table reading a newspaper, actually reading print, which Ben found amusingly old school. "Morning, hero," his dad said without looking up. "Your adoring public is still camped outside." Ben grabbed a piece of toast. "Going out the back way." "Smart." His father lowered the paper. "Your grandfather called. Wants you at headquarters when you have time." "Heading there now." Ben peeked out the front window at the small cluster of reporters. "Any chance you could create a distraction?" His father smiled. "I've got just the thing." Minutes later, Ben slipped out the back door as his father engaged the reporters out front with an impromptu statement about respecting privacy and the importance of normal teenage development. Ben almost felt bad leaving him to handle the press, almost. Once clear of the house, Ben ducked behind a neighbor's shed and transformed into Stinkfly. The insectoid form wasn't his favorite, but it was perfect for quick urban travel without drawing too much attention. Few people looked up, and even fewer wanted to approach something that smelled like Stinkfly. He reached Plumber headquarters in minutes, landing on the hidden rooftop entrance and transforming back to human form before heading inside. The facility buzzed with activity. Last night's attack had put everyone on high alert. Ben found Kevin in the lab with Dryba and Blukik, the two Galvan technicians arguing as usual while Kevin examined Eris's device under a scanner. "Please tell me you've got something," Ben said by way of greeting. Kevin looked up. "Morning to you too, sunshine." He gestured to the small disk. "It's definitely Galvan tech, but with modifications I haven't seen before. Sophisticated stuff. And definitely not standard Plumber issue," Dryba added, adjusting his glasses. "Does it do what Eris claimed? Block remote access to the Omnitrix?" Kevin shrugged. "In theory. Yeah. It generates a localized field that isolates transformation energy signatures. But it also contains a monitoring subroutine." "Meaning?" "Meaning whoever gave you this wanted to track Omnitrix activity while blocking others from doing the same." Ben frowned. "So Eris lied?" "Not necessarily," said a familiar voice from the doorway. Grandpa Max entered, his plumber uniform looking freshly pressed despite the early hour. "She might have omitted some details. We've been searching records for information on this Eris Vex. And?" Max's expression was grim. "Nothing in current Plumber files. But I pulled some strings with old contacts. There was an Eris Vex who worked with Azimuth nearly 15 years ago, during early Omnitrix development." "That fits her story," Ben said. "Partially. What she didn't tell you is that she was dismissed from the project for ethical violations. Apparently, she advocated for weaponizing aspects of transformation technology." Kevin whistled low. "That's not good. We've been trying to contact Azimuth directly," Max continued, "but he's not responding." "Typical." Ben's communicator beeped before he could respond. "Gwen calling." He answered to find her face looking worried on the small screen. "Ben, we've got a problem downtown. Onimo's back with more mutants, bigger ones this time." "On my way." Ben was already moving toward the exit. "Wait," Max called. "What about this device?" Ben glanced back at Eris's disc. Keep studying it. I'll deal with Eris after Onimo. I'll catch up, Kevin said, already putting down his tools. Ben nodded and raced for the exit, transforming into Jetray once outside. As he soared toward downtown Bellwood, he pushed thoughts of Eris aside. Whatever game she was playing would have to wait. Downtown was chaos. Onimo had outdone himself this time, not frogs or insects, but massive mutant wolves prowled the streets, each the size of a small car with the same purple energy crackling around their enhanced forms. Gwen had established a perimeter with her mana shields, keeping civilians back while trying to contain the creatures. Rook provided support from a rooftop position with his proto-tool. Ben landed beside Gwen, switching seamlessly from Jetray to Humongosaur. Where's Onimo? City Hall steps, Gwen pointed. Making demands, as usual. Indeed, Dr. Onimo stood grandly on the steps of Bellwood City Hall, his signature mind control helmet modified with new purple glowing components. A circle of mutant wolves protected him while he shouted through a megaphone. Will acknowledge my genius or watch your city fall to my enhanced creations. The age of Onimo begins now. Same old speech, Ben muttered. New light effects. Ben, be careful, Gwen warned. These mutants are stronger than last time. That energy, I know, Ben interrupted. I'll handle Onimo. You and Rook keep the wolves contained. Without waiting for a response, Ben charged forward, each thunderous step shaking the pavement. Two wolves immediately broke from the circle to intercept him. Ben sidestepped the first, grabbing its tail and using its momentum to hurl it into the second. Onimo. Ben bellowed. Don't you ever get tired of losing? The scientist sneered behind his helmet. Ah, Ben Tennyson. Just the lab specimen I was hoping to see. Lab specimen. Ben continued advancing, batting aside another wolf. You've got your roles mixed up, document. You're the one who's about to be examined, by prison doctors. Onimo laughed, the sound distorted through his megaphone. Such confidence. Let's see if it holds when facing my latest breakthrough. He twisted a dial on his helmet, and all the mutant wolves howled in unison. Purple energy intensified around them, and they began to change further, growing armor-like plates, elongated claws, and second rows of teeth. Ben faltered momentarily, surprised by the secondary mutation. That hesitation cost him as 3 wolves pounced simultaneously. Their combined weight staggered even Humongosaur, massive claws raking across his scaled hide. That all you got? Ben grunted, increasing his size to maximum and throwing off his attackers. He tapped the Omnitrix, transforming into Diamond Head. Crystal shards erupted from his hands, pinning 2 wolves to nearby buildings. The third lunged again, and Ben met it with a crystalline blade arm, slicing through its mutated armor. To Ben's shock, purple energy leaked from the wound instead of blood. The wolf didn't seem injured, if anything, the energy made it stronger as it pushed against his blade. What the fascinating, isn't it? Onimo called. Pure transformation energy, harvested and repurposed. Your Omnitrix isn't the only source of transformation power in the universe, Tennyson. Ben disengaged from the wolf, mind racing. If Onimo had access to transformation energy, that connected him directly to whatever Vilgax and the Collective were planning. A blast from behind caught Ben off guard, sending crystalline shards flying as he was thrown forward. He rolled and came up facing a new threat. Onimo had joined the fight personally, wielding a weapon that pulsed with the now familiar purple energy. Like it? Onimo grinned maniacally. A transformation disruptor. Specifically calibrated for Petrosapien DNA. Ben felt his diamond head form destabilizing, the crystalline structure becoming brittle. He quickly slapped the Omnitrix again, transforming into heat blast just as his previous form began to crack. Flames erupted around him in a protective circle. Nice try, Onimo. But I've got plenty more where that came from. Yes, yes. Onimo's eyes gleamed with scientific fervor. Change again. Each transformation provides more data. That comment clicked something in Ben's mind. Just like Vilgax had said, they weren't trying to defeat him, they were collecting data on his transformations. Ben stayed as Heat Blast, launching fireballs at Onimo rather than changing forms again. If you want my transformation data, you'll have to work harder than that. Onimo dodged surprisingly well for a middle-aged scientist, the wolves moving to protect him. Your cooperation isn't required, boy. Merely your presence. The battle intensified as Kevin arrived, his body covered in metal absorbed from a streetlight. Together with Gwen and Rook, they pushed back against the wolf pack while Ben focused on Onimo. Heat Blast's flames grew hotter as Ben channeled more power, melting the pavement around him. Last chance, Onimo. Surrender or get crispy. Such limited thinking, Onimo taunted, aiming his disruptor again. You still don't understand what's happening here. Before he could fire, a new energy signature, bright blue rather than purple, cut through the battlefield. A pulse wave sent wolves flying and knocked Onimo off his feet. Ben turned to see the source, Eris Vex, standing on a nearby roof, holding what appeared to be a modified plumber weapon. Ben, she called. His helmet is connected to a quantum transceiver. Destroy it before the data uploads. Without questioning, Ben launched a concentrated fireball at Onimo's helmet. The scientist screamed and tried to remove it, but too late, the fireball connected, melting crucial components instantly. No. Onimo wailed. My research. The purple energy surrounding the wolves flickered and faded. The creatures whimpered, their enhanced mutations dissolving as they shrank back to normal size. Onimo fell to his knees, clutching the smoking remains of his helmet. Do you have any idea what you've done? They'll be most displeased. They. Ben advanced on Onimo, flames wreathing his form. You mean the collective? Who are they, Onimo? Fear flashed across the scientist's face. I've said too much already. Plumber containment teams arrived, securing the scene and taking Onimo into custody. Ben returned to human form as Eris approached, her weapon now compacted and holstered at her hip. Perfect timing, Ben said, tone deliberately neutral. Almost like you knew this would happen. Eris met his gaze unflinchingly. I've been tracking collective activity for months. When I realized they were focusing on you, I accelerated my timetable. And forgot to mention your complete history with Azimuth. Ben crossed his arms. The ethical violations. The weaponization research. Ah. Eris smiled thinly. You've been doing homework. Good. Ben. Gwen joined them, eyes narrowed at Eris. This is her. The Galvan hybrid. Half Galvan, Eris corrected. My mother was human. And yes, Gwendolyn Tennyson, I am Eris Vex. She extended a hand which Gwen pointedly ignored. Kevin and Rook approached, forming a protective semicircle around Ben. Your device has a tracking subroutine, Kevin said bluntly. Of course it does. Eris seemed unperturbed. How else would I monitor interference attempts? I never claimed it was just a shield. You didn't mention it either, Ben pointed out. We're wasting time. Eris glanced around at the damaged street. The collective is escalating faster than I anticipated. They've already gathered significant transformation energy samples from your battles. And what exactly do they plan to do with this energy? Rook asked. Eris's expression darkened. Create something terrible. A being that can control and manipulate transformation energy directly, not channeled through technology like the Omnitrix, but as an inherent ability. That's impossible, Gwen said. Is it? Eris raised an eyebrow. The Omnitrix itself was considered impossible before Azimuth created it. Transformation energy is one of the fundamental forces of the universe, it enables evolution itself. Weaponizing it. She trailed off. Would be catastrophic, Ben finished. Eris nodded. The collective is an alliance of beings who believe controlling evolutionary forces is the next frontier of power. Vilgax, Onimo, Albedo, all contributing their expertise toward this goal. And where do you fit in? Kevin asked suspiciously. I recognize the danger before anyone else. Eris's voice hardened. Azimuth dismissed my concerns as paranoia. Called my research unnecessarily militaristic. But I saw this coming years ago. Ben studied her, trying to separate truth from manipulation. And now you want to help me stop them? I want to help you reach your full potential, Eris corrected. The perfect control you've achieved with the Omnitrix, it's just the beginning. With my knowledge of the original design specifications, you could do so much more. Like what? Ben couldn't help his curiosity despite his suspicion. Eris smiled, seeing his interest. Transform multiple body parts independently. Combine alien abilities in new ways. Access the locked evolutionary features without external catalysts. Ben, Gwen warned. We can't trust her. You don't have to trust me, Eris said. Verify my information. Test my claims. But do it quickly, because the collective isn't waiting. Plumber vehicles surrounded them now, Grandpa Max emerging from one with a stern expression. Eris Vex, he said. You're wanted for questioning regarding unauthorized modification of Galvan technology. Eris didn't seem surprised. Magister Tennyson. Your reputation precedes you. She raised her hands in mock surrender. I'm happy to cooperate, but you're making a mistake focusing on me when the collective is the real threat. We can multitask, Max replied dryly. Ben, are you alright? Fine, Grandpa, Ben assured him. Onimo wasn't much trouble. That's because his job wasn't to win, Eris interjected as plumbers approached with restraints. It was to gather more transformation energy data and test specific alien vulnerabilities. Max frowned. We'll discuss everything at headquarters. As they escorted Eris to a plumber vehicle, she caught Ben's eye. The Omnitrix responds to your thoughts now, doesn't it? Commands you don't even need to verbalize. That's just the surface of what's possible. The doors closed, cutting off further conversation. Ben stood watching as the vehicles departed, leaving cleanup crews to handle the aftermath. She's manipulating you, Gwen said quietly. I know. Ben sighed, running a hand through his hair. But what if she's right about the collective? About what the Omnitrix can really do? Then we figure it out without her help, Kevin said firmly. Ben nodded, but doubt lingered. He checked the time and swore under his breath. I've got to go. I'm meeting Julie in 20 minutes. Now. Gwen looked incredulous. After all this? Especially after all this. Ben was already backing away. Normal life, remember. We talked about balance. Before anyone could argue further, Ben transformed into XLR-8 and sped away, leaving his team exchanging concerned glances behind him. Julie waited outside her house, casually dressed in jeans and a light blue top. Her smile when she spotted Ben jogging up the street, having reverted to human around the corner, made the morning's chaos temporarily fade from his mind. Hey, he said, slightly breathless. Ready for lunch? Definitely. She fell into step beside him. I saw the news about downtown. Mutant wolves. All taken care of, Ben assured her. No big deal. Julie gave him a sidelong look. The footage looked pretty intense. That's just how they edit it for ratings. Ben steered the conversation away from hero work. So, where do you want to eat? I was thinking maybe that new place by the lake. Mr. Smoothie isn't good enough anymore, she teased. Ben laughed. I figured champion tennis players deserve fancy lunches with actual nutrition. Smoothies have nutrition. Not the combinations I order. The banter continued as they walked, falling into a comfortable rhythm that reminded Ben why he'd been so drawn to Julie in the first place. She treated him normally, not as Ben 10, hero of the universe, but just as Ben, the guy who made bad smoothie choices and sometimes forgot homework. The lakeside restaurant was busy but not crowded, with outdoor seating overlooking the water. They secured a table and ordered, conversation flowing easily between them. "So," Julie said after their food arrived, "this is nice." "Yeah." Ben realized he was genuinely relaxed for the first time in days. "I've missed this. Just, normal stuff." "Is that what I am? Normal stuff?" Her tone was light but with an undercurrent of seriousness. Ben backtracked quickly. "No. I meant, hanging out, doing regular teenage things without alien invasions interrupting. You're definitely not just normal stuff." Julie smiled. "Relax, I'm teasing. Mostly." She took a bite of her salad before continuing. "But it has been weird, us reconnecting with everything else going on. You're kind of a big deal these days." "Don't remind me," Ben groaned. "There were reporters outside my house this morning. The price of being a public hero, I guess." "Speaking of being a big deal," Ben deflected, "when's your next tournament?" 3 weeks. Regionals in Coast City." Julie twirled pasta on her fork. "It's a qualifier for nationals." "That's awesome." Ben's enthusiasm was genuine. "I'll be there, front row, embarrassingly loud cheering section." "You sure? No universe to save that weekend?" The question wasn't entirely joking, and Ben recognized the uncertainty behind it. Their relationship had faltered before largely because of his unpredictable hero schedule. "I'll make it work," he promised. "The universe can handle itself for a day." Julie's smile turned warmer. "I'd like that." Lunch continued pleasantly, the conversation drifting from school to friends to future plans. Ben found himself relaxing more with each passing minute, the morning's battle and concerns about the collective temporarily pushed aside. After they finished eating, they walked along the lake shore, eventually finding a quiet spot on a wooden dock. Sitting with their feet dangling above the water, conversation lulled into comfortable silence. "I really did miss this," Ben said finally. "Miss you?" Julie looked at him, sunlight reflecting off the water onto her face. "Even with all your new powers and perfect Omnitrix control?" "Especially then." Ben hesitated, then decided on honesty. "Everyone's so focused on what I can do with the Omnitrix now. It's all anyone wants to talk about. But you've always seen past that." "Well, I knew you when you were still figuring out which alien was which," Julie teased. "Kind of hard to be intimidated after watching you accidentally turn into goop when you were aiming for Humongosaur." Ben laughed, remembering those earlier days. "I was pretty hopeless." "You were learning," she corrected. "And now you've mastered it." "That's pretty impressive, Ben." Her approval meant more than any news headline or civilian thanks. Ben felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the afternoon sun. The moment stretched between them, comfortable yet charged with possibility. Ben leaned slightly closer. Julie didn't pull away. Their shoulders touched, then their hands. The familiar beep of the Omnitrix shattered the moment. Ben closed his eyes, frustration evident. "You have got to be kidding me." The device projected a small hologram, Rook's face, looking apologetic but urgent. "Ben, forgive the interruption, but we have a situation at Plumber headquarters. Eris Vex is, can someone else handle it?" Ben interrupted, not caring how rude it sounded. "I'm afraid not. She's specifically requesting you, and Magister Tennyson believes you should hear what she has to say." Julie sighed beside him. "Go. It's okay." "It's not okay," Ben argued, looking between her and Rook's projection. "We were having a moment here." Rook's confusion was evident even in hologram form. "A moment? Never mind," Ben groaned. I'll be there in 10 minutes. The projection disappeared, leaving Ben and Julie sitting in awkward silence. I'm sorry, Ben said finally. Don't be. Julie's smile was resigned but understanding. It's who you are, Ben. I knew what I was getting into. I'll make it up to you, he promised, standing reluctantly. I'll hold you to that. Julie stood too, then surprised him with a quick kiss on the cheek. Go save the world or whatever. Text me later. Ben nodded, watching as she walked away before transforming into Stinkfly once she was out of sight. As he flew toward Plumber headquarters, his mood oscillated between lingering warmth from Julie's kiss and annoyance at yet another interruption of his personal life. The interruptions were becoming more frequent as his fame grew, not just alien attacks, but media requests, public appearances, civilian recognition. The perfect control he'd achieved with the Omnitrix had elevated his status from local hero to global celebrity. Landing at Plumber headquarters, Ben transformed back to human form and made his way to the detention level. Grandpa Max waited outside an interrogation room, expression serious. What's so important that Eris needed to see me specifically? Ben asked without preamble. She claims to have information about the next collective attack, Max explained. Says it will target you personally, not just the Omnitrix. Ben frowned. And we believe her because. We don't, necessarily. But her technical knowledge. Checks out, she really did work with Azimuth on early Omnitrix prototypes. Max lowered his voice. And she's offered to provide coordinates for the collective's primary base of operations. That caught Ben's attention. In exchange for what? Direct access to you and the Omnitrix for what she calls optimization procedures. She wants to modify the Omnitrix. Ben's hand went protectively to the device. Not happening. That's what I told her. Max nodded toward the door. But she insists the information she has could save lives, specifically, the lives of people close to you. A chill ran through Ben. She threatened my family? Not exactly. She claims the collective's next move targets your loved ones as leverage. She seemed genuinely concerned. Ben studied the door, thinking. I'll talk to her. But no deals without consulting Azimuth first. Max nodded and stepped aside, allowing Ben to enter the interrogation room alone. Eris sat calmly at a metal table, no restraints visible though Ben knew the room had energy dampeners that would activate if she tried anything. She looked up as he entered, a slight smile crossing her features. Benjamin. Thank you for coming. Skip the pleasantries, Ben said, remaining standing. What's this about the collective targeting people I care about? Eris's smile faded. Direct as always. Very well. She leaned forward. The collective has been studying your transformation patterns, but they've also been studying you, your behaviors, relationships, weaknesses. Their next move isn't against the Omnitrix directly. It's psychological warfare. Explain. They plan to abduct someone close to you, possibly your cousin Gwen, your friend Kevin, or... She paused meaningfully. The tennis player, Julie Yamamoto. Ben felt his blood run cold. How do you know about Julie? The same way the collective does. Public records, surveillance, basic intelligence gathering. Eris's expression softened slightly. I'm not the enemy here, Ben. I'm trying to warn you. Why? What's your angle in all this? Eris sat back, studying him. My angle, as you put it, is preventing catastrophe. The collective isn't just building a weapon, they're creating something that could destabilize the fundamental forces that govern transformation throughout the universe. And you care because... Because unlike what your grandfather's files might say, I'm not a monster. Her voice took on an edge. Yes, I advocated for weaponizing certain aspects of transformation technology. I believed, still believe, that defensive applications are necessary. Azimuth is brilliant but naive. He thinks keeping knowledge locked away prevents misuse. Seems reasonable to me, Ben countered. Is it? Look at what's happening now. The collective is developing transformation weapons anyway, without Azimuth's ethical constraints or my scientific precision. They're fumbling with forces they barely understand, and the results could be devastating. Ben pulled out the chair across from her and sat down, considering her words. What exactly are they trying to create? They call it the Observer, a synthetic entity designed to absorb, process, and redirect transformation energy. Imagine a being that could manipulate the evolutionary process itself, accelerating or reversing it at will. Eris leaned forward. Now imagine that power in Vilgax's control. The implication was chilling. Ben had faced countless threats, but tampering with the fundamental forces of evolution raised the stakes to a new level. How close are they? Too close. Eris's eyes fixed on the Omnitrix. They need one final component, a complete mapping of transformation energy at its most efficient. Your perfectly controlled transformations provide exactly that. And that's why they've been collecting data during our battles, Ben realized. Precisely. Each encounter, Onimo's frogs, Vilgax's dampening field, today's wolves, all designed to sample different aspects of your transformation process. Ben's mind raced, connecting dots. If what you're saying is true, why offer to help me optimize the Omnitrix? Wouldn't that just give them better data to steal? A smile flickered across Eris's face. Clever question. 2 reasons. First, optimization would include enhanced security protocols that would prevent further unauthorized sampling. Second. She hesitated. Second. Ben prompted. The Omnitrix contains safeguards, limitations Azimuth built in deliberately. With those removed, you could access abilities that might be the only effective defense against what the collective is building. Such as? Eris's eyes gleamed with what seemed like genuine excitement. Simultaneous transformations. Hybrid forms. Direct manipulation of your own transformation energy outside the Omnitrix's constraints. Ben's suspicion remained, but curiosity crept in alongside it. And you know how to unlock these features? I helped design them, then watched Azimuth lock them away. Bitterness colored her tone briefly before she controlled it. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The immediate threat is to your loved ones. Right. Ben refocused. You said you have coordinates for their base. I do. Eris sat back. But rushing in would be precisely what they expect. They've studied you, Ben. They know your tendency to charge into danger, especially when people you care about are threatened. That stung because it was accurate. Ben had always led with his heart, sometimes at the expense of strategy. So what do you suggest? Protection for your inner circle first. Then a carefully planned counterattack. Eris looked at him intently. And in the meantime, let me help you prepare by unlocking the Omnitrix's full potential. There it is, Ben said, standing up. The real reason for this meeting. You're still after the Omnitrix. I'm after stopping the collective, Eris corrected firmly. The Omnitrix optimization is a means to that end. But if you don't trust me enough for that, at least take my warning seriously. They will target someone you love, and soon. Ben studied her, trying to discern truth from manipulation. I'll arrange protection for my family and friends. As for the rest, I need to think about it. Don't think too long, Eris warned. The collective has accelerated their timeline. The Observer is nearly complete. As Ben turned to leave, Eris called after him, one more thing, Ben. Watch for purple energy fluctuations in the Omnitrix itself. If they become more frequent or intense, contact me immediately. It means they're attempting a direct connection. Ben paused at the door. How would I contact you? You're in plumber custody. Eris smiled enigmatically. Am I? The lights suddenly flickered throughout the facility, alarms blaring as emergency. Systems activated. Ben whirled back toward Eris, but she was already shimmering with teleportation energy. "Consider my warning a gesture of good faith," she said as her form began to dissolve. "I'll be in touch about those optimizations." "Wait." Ben lunged forward, but his hands passed through empty air as the teleportation completed. Seconds later, Max burst into the room. "What happened?" "She had an exit strategy," Ben said grimly. "And she just played us to deliver her message." Max activated his communicator, barking orders to lock down the facility and track the teleportation signature. But Ben suspected it would be futile. Eris had planned this too carefully. "What did she tell you?" Max asked once the immediate crisis response was underway. Ben filled him in on the warnings about the collective targeting his loved ones and their supposed creation called the Observer. "Could be misdirection," Max noted, "but we can't take that chance." "I'll assign Plummer details to watch your parents, Gwen, Kevin, and Julie," Ben added firmly. Max nodded. "And Julie. In the meantime, I want you to stay at Plummer HQ until we assess the threat level." "Not happening, Grandpa." Ben's tone made it clear this wasn't negotiable. "If the collective is targeting people I care about because of me, I'm not hiding while you put others at risk." "Ben, I'll be careful," Ben promised, already heading for the door. "But I need to warn everyone personally. Starting with Julie." Before Max could argue further, Ben was gone, transforming into XLR-8 once outside and racing through Bellwood toward Julie's house. Fear and determination warred within him, fear for those he cared about, determination to stop the collective before they could implement whatever plan they had. And underneath it all, a nagging thought persisted: what if Eris was right about the Omnitrix? What if the perfect control he'd achieved was just the beginning of what was possible? Julie's surprised expression when she opened her door to find Ben standing there, slightly out of breath from running the final block in human form, quickly shifted to concern. "Ben. What's wrong? Can I come in? It's important." She stepped aside, letting him into the familiar living room. Her parents were out, Ben remembered, tennis meeting for her father, book club for her mother. Small mercies. "What's going on?" Julie asked once they were inside. "You look freaked out." Ben paced the room, unsure how to begin. "There's a situation. A new threat that is targeting people I'm close to." Understanding dawned in Julie's eyes. "Including me?" "Yeah." Ben stopped pacing, meeting her gaze directly. "I'm sorry, Julie. I never wanted my hero life to put you in danger." "It's not exactly the first time," she pointed out with remarkable calm. "Remember the hybrid invasion? Or when Zomboso targeted your family? This is different. More calculated." Ben ran a hand through his hair. "These people, they call themselves the collective, they've been studying me, my transformation patterns, my relationships. They're not just random villains." Julie sat on the couch, processing this information. "So what happens now? You want me to go into hiding or something?" "No, nothing that dramatic." Ben sat beside her. "Grandpa Max is assigning Plummer security details to everyone who might be targeted. They'll keep watch, stay nearby but unobtrusive. And in the meantime, you go after these collective people." Ben nodded. "That's the plan. Stop them before they can hurt anyone." Julie was quiet for a moment, then reached out and took his hand. "Be careful, okay? I just got you back in my life. I'm not interested in losing you again." The simple gesture and words hit Ben with unexpected force. He squeezed her hand. "I will. And I'll end this quickly, I promise." "Don't make promises about things you can't control," Julie said softly. "Just, come back." They sat in silence for a moment, hands linked, the weight of unspoken feelings between them. Ben wanted to stay, to pretend for a few hours that he was just a normal teenager with normal concerns. But responsibility pulled at him, Others needed warning too. I should go, he said reluctantly. I need to check on Gwen and Kevin, make sure they're up to speed. Julie nodded, understanding as always. Go. I'll be fine. As Ben stood to leave, Julie caught his arm. Ben. Thank you for coming to tell me yourself. For not just sending a plumber or whatever. Some things need to be done in person, he replied with a small smile. Outside Julie's house, Ben paused on the sidewalk, scanning the area. Nothing seemed out of place, but the plumber security detail hadn't arrived yet. Uneasiness gnawed at him, the vulnerability of everyone he cared about suddenly stark in his mind. His phone buzzed with a text from Gwen, at Kevin's garage. Meeting needed ASAP. Good. He could warn them both at once. Transforming into Stinkfly once he found a secluded spot, Ben took to the air, keeping a watchful eye on Julie's house until it faded from view. The plumbers would arrive soon, he reassured himself. She would be safe. The nagging doubt followed him all the way to Kevin's garage. So you're saying this heiress chick broke out of plumber custody just to warn you that the collective is targeting us? Kevin summarized after Ben explained the situation. And we're supposed to believe her why? They were gathered in Kevin's garage, Gwen, Kevin, and now Ben. The space was cluttered with alien tech in various stages of disassembly, Kevin's latest automotive project taking up the central area. I'm not saying we should trust her completely, Ben clarified, but we'd be stupid to ignore the warning. Gwen frowned, leaning against a workbench. It could be misdirection. Get us looking at potential kidnapping threats while they're planning something else entirely. Maybe, Ben conceded. But Grandpa Max is taking it seriously enough to assign security details to everyone. Kevin snorted. Great. Babysitters. Better than being kidnapped by the collective, Ben shot back. Guys, Gwen interrupted before the argument could escalate. Focus. What else did Eris tell you? Anything about this observer they're supposedly creating? Ben relayed what Eris had explained about transformation energy manipulation and the potential for a synthetic entity that could control evolutionary processes. That's terrifying, Gwen said quietly when he finished. And probably impossible, Kevin added, though he looked less certain than his words suggested. Azimuth created the Omnitrix, Ben pointed out. And Albedo built his own version. If they're all working together now as part of the collective, who knows what they could accomplish? The implication hung in the air, the combined genius of multiple enemies, each with their own expertise in alien technology, focused on a single goal. It was a sobering thought. What about Eris's offer to optimize the Omnitrix? Gwen asked. You're not actually considering it, are you? Ben hesitated. I don't know. She seems to genuinely believe the Omnitrix has capabilities beyond what I'm using. Of course she does, Kevin said dismissively. That's how she hooks you. Promise cool new powers, then mess with the watch when you let her access it. I know, Ben said, a touch defensively. I'm not an idiot. No one's saying you are, Gwen placated. But you've got to admit, the timing of her appearance, these attacks, her convenient escape, it all feels orchestrated. Ben couldn't argue with that. Everything about Eris felt calculated, each interaction precisely designed to build credibility and trust. Whether that meant she was manipulating him or simply very careful remained to be seen. Look, he said finally, for now, let's focus on the immediate threat. If the collective really is planning to target people close to me, we need to be ready. Kevin nodded, moving to a locked cabinet in the corner of the garage. I've been working on some new tech that might help. Anti-teleportation field generators. He extracted small devices that resembled hockey pucks. Plant these around your house, they prevent unauthorized teleportation within a 50-foot radius. Nice, Ben said, genuinely impressed. That could buy crucial time if they try anything. I've also been improving my tracking spells, Gwen added. If we each carry a token linked to my mana, I can locate anyone within seconds if they're taken. The planning continued, the three of them falling into their familiar rhythm of preparation and strategy. Despite the tension of the situation, Ben felt a wave of gratitude for his team. They might question his decisions sometimes, but they always had his back when it mattered. As they worked, Ben's phone buzzed with a text notification. Expecting an update from Grandpa Max, he was surprised to see an unknown number. The Omnitrix optimization offer remains open. Time is running short. Consider your options carefully. How Eris had obtained his personal number was concerning but not surprising given her demonstrated capabilities. Ben deleted the message without responding, though he couldn't deny it lingered in his thoughts. Their planning session was interrupted by the plumber alert system, all their badges activating simultaneously with a high-priority signal. Multiple alien tech signatures detected, Rook's voice came through clearly. Downtown Financial District. Energy patterns match recent collective attacks. Ben was already moving toward the door. On my way. We're coming too, Gwen stated, not a question but a declaration. Wouldn't have it any other way, Ben replied with a grim smile. Kevin grabbed his keys out of habit before remembering. Wait, why drive when we've got the world's fastest taxi service right here? Ben rolled his eyes but transformed into XLR-8 without comment. Within seconds, they were racing toward downtown, Gwen and Kevin secure in his grip as buildings blurred past. The financial district came into view, immediately revealing the nature of the emergency. The distinctive black and red armor of the Forever Knight surrounded the central bank, energy weapons deployed against responding plumber units. Ben deposited Gwen and Kevin behind a plumber barricade before zooming forward to assess the situation closer. The Knights had established a perimeter, their weapons emitting the now familiar purple energy that characterized collective technology. Transforming into Diamond Head, Ben approached the plumber commander, a veteran officer named Brick. What's the situation? Ben asked, eyes on the Knights' formation. They breached the bank's vault 20 minutes ago, Brick reported. Not taking money, they went straight for the secure storage area where we had confiscated alien tech locked away. Specific target? Unknown. They've neutralized our communication with the vault level. Brick gestured to his scanner. But they're emitting unusual energy signatures. Not standard Forever Knight tech. Purple energy, right? Ben confirmed grimly. They're working with the collective. Gwen and Kevin joined them, having been briefed by other plumbers. Rook arrived moments later, his proto-tool already configured for combat. The Knights have hostages, Rook informed them. Bank employees who couldn't evacuate in time. Great, Ben muttered. So we can't just go in smashing. I can get us in undetected, Gwen offered. Teleportation spell to bypass their perimeter. Ben nodded. Do it. Rook, coordinate with the plumbers out here, keep the Knights contained but don't escalate unless absolutely necessary. Understood, Rook acknowledged, though he looked reluctant to be left behind. Gwen began chanting, pink mana encircling the three of them. The spell activated with a flash, the world blurring momentarily before reforming inside the bank's main lobby. They crouched behind a counter, taking stock of the situation. Forever Knights patrolled in groups of 2, their armor modified with purple glowing components. Hostages sat huddled in the center of the lobby, guarded by Knights with energy lances. I count 12 Knights here, probably more downstairs, Kevin whispered, absorbing metal from a nearby deposit box. Standard formation. 2 standard, Ben observed, watching the patrol patterns. The Forever Knights are usually more disciplined than this. Something's off. Maybe they're just the distraction, Gwen suggested. Ben's eyes narrowed. Or bait. He tapped the Omnitrix, cycling through options before selecting Ghost Freak. I'll scout the vault level. You two free the hostages when I give the signal. Before they could object, Ben transformed, the ghostly alien's form rising intangibly through the floor toward the vault level below. As Ghost Freak, Ben could move completely undetected, passing through solid matter while remaining invisible to normal sight. The vault level was a stark contrast to the lobby. No Forever Knights patrolled here, only a single figure working at the secure storage units. Ben recognized him immediately, Albedo, Ben's Galvan doppelganger, currently in his human form that mirrored Ben's own appearance but with white hair and red eyes. Albedo was methodically extracting components from various containers, occasionally consulting a holographic display that showed schematics of some larger device. The purple energy signature was strongest here, emanating from a small device on Albedo's wrist that looked disturbingly similar to the Omnitrix. Ben remained invisible, floating closer to observe. Albedo seemed completely focused on his task, muttering to himself as he worked. Incomplete harmonics, needs proper catalyst, transformation matrix still unstable. His frustration was evident as he discarded several components. The observer requires perfect synchronization. The mention of the observer confirmed Eris's warning. Whatever the collective was building, Albedo was directly involved in its creation. Ben had seen enough. He began to retreat toward the ceiling to report back to Gwen and Kevin when Albedo suddenly stiffened. "I know you're here, Tennyson," he said without turning around. "Your transformation energy has a distinctive signature, especially Ghost Freak's. Quite recognizable." Ben materialized, abandoning stealth for confrontation. "Albedo. Working with Forever Knights now? That's a step down even for you." Albedo turned, his red eyes gleaming with malice. "Mere pawns. Disposable distraction. For what? Isn't it obvious?" Albedo gestured to the components he'd gathered. "I needed specific technology stored here. The Knights provided convenient cover, and hostages to keep you occupied upstairs while I worked." "Not occupied enough," Ben noted, floating closer. "What's the collective building, Albedo? What's the observer?" Surprise flickered across Albedo's face before settling into a smirk. "You know more than you should. Someone's been talking out of turn." "I have my sources," Ben replied vaguely. "Eris Vex," Albedo stated flatly. "Always the wild card. I warned the others she couldn't be trusted." Ben didn't confirm or deny, instead pressing, "What is the observer?" "The next evolutionary step in transformation technology." Pride colored Albedo's voice. "Beyond the Omnitrix. Beyond Asmatha's limited vision. A being that can control the fundamental forces of evolution itself." "Sounds like you're playing with forces you don't understand," Ben countered. Albedo's expression darkened. "I understand them perfectly. It's Asmath who lacked vision. He created the ultimate transformation device, then hobbled it with restrictions and safeguards." His gaze fixed on Ben's Omnitrix. "Even your so-called perfect control is nothing compared to what the Omnitrix could truly do." The echo of Eris's words was unsettling. "You're wrong. The safeguards exist for a reason." "So naive," Albedo scoffed. "But then, that's why you were chosen to wield the Omnitrix, malleable, idealistic, unwilling to exploit its true potential." He began gathering the components into a containment unit. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a delivery to make." "You're not going anywhere," Ben declared, lunging forward. Albedo smiled coldly. "I disagree." He pressed a button on his wrist device, and purple energy erupted throughout the room. Ben felt Ghost Freak's form destabilizing, the transformation energy within the Omnitrix fluctuating wildly. Pain shot through him as his spectral body began to lose cohesion. "Interesting effect, isn't it?" Albedo commented casually, continuing to pack away components. "A transformation disruptor, specifically calibrated for ectoneurite DNA. We've been developing counters for all your alien forms." Ben fought to maintain his transformation, but the disruption was too severe. In a flash of purple-tinged green light, he reverted to human form, falling to his knees as the energy discharge left him momentarily stunned. "The collective has studied your transformation patterns extensively," Albedo continued. Your perfect control is impressive, but predictable. We know exactly which aliens you favor in which situations. Ben reached for the Omnitrix again, but Albedo was faster. A burst from his wrist device sent another wave of purple energy that temporarily locked the Omnitrix's interface. Temporary disruption only, Albedo noted. 30 seconds should be sufficient. He activated a teleportation sequence, the components and Albedo himself beginning to shimmer with transport energy. One more thing, Tennyson, Albedo called as he began to disappear. The next time we meet, I won't be the only one who looks like you. The observer takes form soon, and your perfect control has provided the perfect template. With those ominous words, Albedo vanished completely, teleported away with his stolen technology. The Omnitrix sparked and reset, the familiar green glow returning. Ben staggered to his feet, shaking off the lingering effects of the disruption. He needed to warn the others. Transforming back to Ghost Freak, Ben phased through the ceiling to the lobby level, only to find chaos had erupted in his absence. The Forever Knights were engaged in battle with Gwen, Kevin, and newly arrived plumber reinforcements. The hostages were being evacuated through a side entrance, guarded by Rook. Ben shifted to Swampfire midair, landing among a group of knights and immediately unleashing a burst of flames that forced them back. Albedo's gone. This was just a diversion. Yeah, figured that out. Kevin called back, smashing two knights together. Gwen's mana shields deflected energy lance attacks as she corralled more knights away from the escaping hostages. We need to end this quickly. Ben nodded, transforming again, this time to Gravitack. Using the gravity-manipulating alien's powers, he created a localized gravity well that pulled the remaining knights into a central point, their weapons and armor clattering as they collided helplessly. Nice one. Kevin approved, moving to secure the incapacitated knights. The battle concluded swiftly after that, the remaining knights surrendering once they realized their purpose as distraction had been fulfilled. As plumbers took them into custody, Ben, Gwen, Kevin, and Rook gathered to assess the situation. Albedo stole components for something called the Observer, Ben explained. He confirmed everything Eris warned about. The collective is building some kind of synthetic entity that can manipulate transformation energy directly. Did he say what they need it for? Gwen asked. Not specifically, but he mentioned it, taking form soon, and that my transformation patterns were providing the template. Kevin frowned. So they're building what, an evil copy of you? Not exactly, came a familiar voice from behind them. They turned to find Eris Vex standing calmly among the debris of battle, apparently having teleported in during the commotion. Plumbers nearby immediately raised weapons, but she ignored them, focusing on Ben. The Observer isn't a copy, it's an evolution. A being that can absorb and manipulate the transformation energy of others. Her expression was grave. And if Albedo has the final components, we're running out of time. How did you find us? Ben demanded, though he suspected he knew. Eris tapped her wrist, where a small device blinked steadily. I've been tracking collective energy signatures. This attack registered immediately. Rook kept his proto-tool trained on her. You are still wanted for questioning by the plumbers. Arrest me later, Eris dismissed. Right now, we have more pressing concerns. She turned back to Ben. Did Albedo mention where they're assembling the Observer? No, but he teleported out with the components. Ben studied her carefully. You really aren't working with them, are you? Finally catching on, Eris replied dryly. I've been trying to stop the collective for months. Gwen stepped forward. Why should we trust you now? You've been manipulating Ben from the start. Not manipulating, recruiting, Eris corrected. And yes, I've been selective with information. Necessary when dealing with stubborn Tennysons who shoot first and ask questions later. Before the argument could escalate, Ben's Omnitrix suddenly beeped with an incoming communication. The holographic display activated, showing Grandpa Max's concerned face. Ben, we've got a situation. Julie Yamamoto's plumber protection detail was attacked. She's missing. The world seemed to stop for a moment, Ben's breath catching in his throat. What? When? 15 minutes ago, Max replied grimly. The timing suggests it was coordinated with the bank attack to draw you away. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The bank attack, the Forever Nights, albedo, all calculated distractions while someone else targeted Julie. I'm on my way, Ben said, already moving toward the exit. Wait, Eris called. This is exactly what they want, to separate you from your team, make you react emotionally instead of strategically. I don't care, Ben snapped. They took Julie because of me. I'm going to find her. And walk right into their trap, Eris countered. The collective has been studying you, Ben. They know exactly how you'll respond. Gwen placed a hand on Ben's arm. She's right, Ben. We need a plan. Ben's instinct was to transform immediately, to search every inch of Bellwood until he found Julie. But the rational part of his mind recognized the trap for what it was. Fine, he conceded. But we move fast. What do you suggest? The question was directed at the group, but his eyes were on Eris. I can track Julie, Gwen said. I have a connection to her mana signature. And I can detect collective energy patterns, Eris added. Between the two, we should be able to locate her quickly. Ben nodded, tamping down his fear and anger in favor of focus. Kevin, Rook, coordinate with plumber teams. If this is the collective making their move, we might need backup. On it, Kevin. Agreed, already activating his plumber badge. Ben turned back to Eris. One more thing. That optimization you offered for the Omnitrix, what exactly would it do? Eris's eyes widened slightly in surprise before understanding dawned. It would unlock the full transformation potential, hybrid forms, simultaneous transformations, direct energy manipulation. Abilities you might need against the observer. How long would it take? Minutes, with the right equipment. Eris studied him intently. Are you considering it? If it gives me an edge to save Julie and stop the collective? Yes. Gwen looked alarmed. Ben, think about this. I have thought about it, Ben interrupted. If the collective has been planning counters for all my alien forms, I need something they haven't prepared for. I have the necessary equipment at my lab, Eris said. We could go now, perform the optimization, then track Julie immediately after. The decision hung in the balance, trust Eris and gain potential new abilities, or rely on his existing powers and possibly walk into a trap he couldn't counter. Ben thought of Julie, taken because of her connection to him, and made his choice. Let's do it, he said firmly. But Gwen comes with us. And at the first sign this is another trap, I'll use every alien in the Omnitrix to take you down. Eris nodded, unperturbed by the threat. Fair enough. Ben, Kevin said quietly. Be careful. Always am, Ben replied with a confidence he didn't entirely feel. As Eris prepared a teleportation sequence to take them to her lab, Ben couldn't help wondering if he was making the right call. Trusting someone who had already deceived him once seemed risky at best, reckless at worst. But if it gave him the edge needed to save Julie and stop the collective, he'd take that risk. The teleportation field activated, surrounding Ben, Gwen, and Eris in shimmering energy. As they dematerialized, Ben caught a final glimpse of Kevin and Rook's concerned faces, a reminder of what was at stake and why he couldn't afford to fail. The world dissolved into light, carrying them toward either salvation or deeper into the collective's plans. Only time would tell which. Eris's lab materialized around them, a spacious facility filled with advanced technology that bore marks of both Galvan design and custom modifications. Workstations lined the walls, each dedicated to different aspects of research, all immaculately organized. Welcome to my humble workspace, Eris said, moving immediately to activate systems. The optimization equipment is this way. Gwen examined their surroundings warily, her hands glowing faintly with prepared mana. This doesn't look like a humble anything. How did you get all this tech? When Azimuth dismissed me, I didn't leave empty-handed, Eris admitted without shame. I took my research and prototype designs, things I had created or co-developed. You stole from Azimuth, Ben translated. I reclaimed my work, Eris corrected, leading them to a central platform surrounded by equipment. Now, shall we proceed, or would you prefer to debate ethics while Julie remains in the collective's hands? That silenced further questions. Ben approached the platform, examining the apparatus connected to it, scanning devices, energy modulators, and what appeared to be a modified Omnitrix interface system. This won't damage the Omnitrix, he asked, sudden uncertainty creeping in. It will only unlock features already built into the device, Eris assured him. Think of it as removing artificial limitations rather than adding anything new. Ben glanced at Gwen, who still looked deeply skeptical. I don't like this, she said quietly. But I understand why you're doing it. Thanks, Ben replied. Keep an eye out, okay? If anything feels wrong, I'll blast her into next week, Gwen finished with a small smile. Ben stepped onto the platform. Let's do this. Eris moved with practiced efficiency, connecting monitoring devices to the platform and bringing displays online. The process has 3 stages, she explained. First, a deep scan to map your specific connection to the Omnitrix. Second, identification and deactivation of limiter protocols. Third, synchronization of the enhanced transformation matrix with your neural patterns. Will it hurt? Ben asked, watching her hands fly across controls. Discomfort is possible, Eris acknowledged. Your bond with the Omnitrix is partly physiological, the device has integrated with your DNA at a fundamental level. Altering that connection may cause temporary sensations of stress. Great, Ben muttered. Ready? Eris positioned her hand over the activation control. Ben took a deep breath and nodded. Do it. Eris initiated the sequence. Energy fields activated around the platform, bathing Ben in scanning beams that mapped the Omnitrix's connection to his body. Displays filled with scrolling data, transformation patterns, energy signatures, response metrics. Fascinating, Eris murmured, studying the readouts. Your bond with the Omnitrix is even more complete than I anticipated. The perfect control you've achieved isn't just technical mastery, it's a genuine symbiosis. The first phase completed, transitioning seamlessly to the second. This time, Ben felt it, a tingling sensation spreading from the Omnitrix throughout his body, not painful but distinctly unusual. The limiter protocols are deeply embedded, Eris noted, adjusting parameters. Azimuth was particularly thorough with the safeguards. Is that a problem? Gwen asked, moving closer to monitor the process. No, just requires precision. Eris's fingers danced across the controls, navigating complex security systems. There, the transformation restriction matrix is disengaging. The Omnitrix suddenly glowed brighter, the green light pulsing rhythmically. Ben felt a surge of energy, similar to transformation but without actually changing form. It was as though the Omnitrix's power was flowing more freely between them. Final phase initiating, Eris announced. Neural synchronization. This part was intense, Ben gasped as images flooded his mind, flashes of alien forms, DNA sequences, transformation patterns. It wasn't knowledge in the conventional sense but intuitive understanding, like suddenly remembering something long forgotten. The energy fields peaked, then gradually subsided. The Omnitrix's glow stabilized at a slightly brighter hue than before, the interface briefly displaying a recalibration sequence before returning to normal. It's done, Eris said, studying final readings. How do you feel? Ben stepped off the platform, examining the Omnitrix. It looked the same externally, but somehow felt different, more connected, more responsive to his thoughts. Different, he said simply. What? Exactly changed. You now have access to the Omnitrix's full capabilities, Eris explained, bringing up a holographic display that showed various transformation options. Hybrid transformations, combining different alien DNA sequences. Partial transformations, changing only specific body parts. And most importantly, direct transformation energy manipulation, using the energy itself as a power source. How do I access these features? The same way you access your perfect control now, through intent and visualization. The Omnitrix responds to your thoughts more directly than ever. Eris's expression grew serious. But be cautious. These abilities require significant mental focus. Losing concentration during a hybrid transformation could have unpredictable results. Gwen approached, concern evident. Ben, are you sure you're okay? Yeah, he assured her, though the new connection with the Omnitrix felt strange, not uncomfortable, but intensely present. Let's test this before we go after Julie. Ben focused on the simplest new capability, partial transformation. He visualized his right arm becoming Diamondhead's crystalline limb while the rest remained human. The Omnitrix responded immediately, green energy flowing over just his arm as it transformed perfectly into the desired form. Whoa, he breathed, examining the seamless transition between human and Petrosapien anatomy. Impressive control on the first attempt, Eris noted with approval. Ben reverted his arm to normal, then attempted a more complex feat, hybrid transformation. He visualized a combination of Heatblast's upper body with XLR8's legs and tail. The Omnitrix pulsed, energy washing over him as the hybrid form took shape exactly as imagined. This is incredible, Ben said, his voice carrying Heatblast's distinctive crackle while flames danced across his torso. The speed and maneuverability of XLR8's lower body complemented the pyrokinetic upper half perfectly. Gwen watched with a mixture of amazement and concern. Ben, this is game-changing, he finished, reverting to human form. The transition was smooth, controlled, without the usual flash of light, just energy flowing back into the Omnitrix at his command. The final ability, direct transformation energy manipulation, is more abstract, Eris cautioned. It allows you to channel the Omnitrix's energy without fully transforming, but requires intense concentration. Later, Ben decided. We need to find Julie first. Gwen nodded, refocusing on their mission. I can track her now, with my spells prepared. And I can simultaneously scan for collective energy signatures, Eris added, moving to a different console. Cross-referencing the data should give us a precise location. As they worked, Ben experimented further with his new abilities, practicing partial transformations, Wildmutt's enhanced senses in human form, Ghost Freak's intangibility in just one hand. Each attempt worked flawlessly, the Omnitrix responding to his thoughts almost before he fully formed them. The power was intoxicating, yet sobering in its implications. Azimuth had restricted these capabilities for a reason. Was it ethical concerns? Safety limitations? Or something else entirely? Got her, Gwen announced suddenly. Her eyes glowed with mana energy as a map displayed on a nearby screen, a pulsing dot marking Julie's location. She's at the old observatory outside town. Collective energy signatures confirmed at the same location, Eris added. Significant power readings consistent with final observer assembly. Ben's focus immediately narrowed. We need to move. Now. Wait, Eris cautioned. This is certainly a trap. The collective will expect you, even with your new abilities, we need a strategy. I agree, Gwen said. We should contact Kevin and Rook, coordinate with plumber teams. Ben's instinct was to rush in immediately, but he forced himself to think strategically. Call them. Tell them to surround the observatory but stay back until my signal. We don't want to spook the collective into hurting Julie. As Gwen made the calls, Eris approached Ben. There's something else you should know before we go, she said, her voice lowered. The observer, if they've completed it, will be drawn to your transformation energy like a moth to flame. Your perfect control and now these enhanced abilities make you its ideal target. Meaning? Meaning it will try to absorb your transformation energy directly, not just sample it like before, but take it completely. Her expression was grave. If it succeeds, you could lose your connection to the Omnitrix permanently. The warning sent a chill through Ben. Then I won't let it succeed. Eris studied him for a moment, then nodded. Your confidence is either your greatest strength or your fatal flaw. I'm still deciding which. Let me know when you figure it out, Ben replied with a tight smile. Gwen rejoined them. Kevin and Rook are mobilizing plumber teams now. They'll be in position in 15 minutes. We go in 10, Ben decided. I want eyes on the situation before they arrive. I have transportation that won't be detected by their sensors, Eris offered, moving toward what appeared to be a standard teleportation platform. It uses transformation energy wavelengths rather than standard teleportation frequencies, invisible to their monitoring systems. Ben and Gwen exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Despite everything, they were still following Eris's lead, still trusting her guidance. The risk was significant, but the alternative, abandoning Julie to the collective, was unthinkable. Let's go, Ben said, stepping onto the platform with Gwen. Eris joined them, activating the sequence. Remember what I told you about the new abilities. Focus is essential, especially for hybrids. Lose concentration mid-transformation. I know, Ben assured her. I've got this. The teleportation field enveloped them, different from standard systems. The energy felt alive somehow, resonating with the Omnitrix in a way Ben hadn't experienced before. As they dematerialized, Ben focused on Julie, on what was at stake, on the coming confrontation with the collective. Whatever they had planned, whatever this observer was capable of, Ben was ready. With his newly unlocked abilities and perfect control, he would end the collective's threat once and for all, and bring Julie home safely. The world dissolved into energy around them, carrying them toward the observatory and whatever awaited inside. The abandoned Bellwood Observatory materialized around them as the teleportation completed, not the main viewing area as Ben expected, but a maintenance corridor in the lower levels. Eris had transported them directly inside the facility, bypassing external security. Collective energy signature strongest below us, Eris whispered, consulting a handheld scanner. They're in the old particle research lab. Julie's life signature is there too, Gwen confirmed, her eyes glowing briefly with mana. She's alive, but her energy feels strange. Muted somehow. Ben nodded, mind already racing with tactical options. The newly optimized Omnitrix hummed with potential at his wrist, eager to be unleashed. I'll go in first, he decided. Hybrid form for maximum versatility. Which combination? Gwen asked. Ben didn't answer verbally. Instead, he focused his thoughts, and the Omnitrix responded instantly. Energy flowed over him in a controlled wave, transforming him into a seamless hybrid, Big Chill's spectral body and wings, but with Chromastone's crystalline composition and energy absorption capabilities. The combination looked otherworldly, ice-blue crystals forming moth-like wings that shimmered with ultraviolet energy. Impressive control, Eris murmured. I'll phase in, assess the situation, then signal you, Ben said, his hybrid voice carrying both Big Chill's whisper and Chromastone's resonance. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, we're coming in anyway, Gwen finished firmly. Ben nodded, then activated Big Chill's intangibility, phasing through the floor toward the energy. Signatures below. Moving through solid matter felt different in this hybrid form. Chromastone's energy awareness added a new dimension to Big Chill's phasing, allowing him to see energy fields and power sources even through walls. The particle research lab had been transformed. Where scientific equipment once stood, now arcane devices hummed with power, purple energy flowing through conduits that converged at the center of the room. There, suspended in an energy field, floated what Ben could only assume was the observer in its nascent form, a vaguely humanoid shape composed of swirling purple energy, not yet fully materialized but clearly taking form. Below it, Julie was restrained on an examination table, unconscious but unharmed from what Ben could see. Various monitoring devices were attached to her, feeding data to nearby consoles. The lab's occupants made Ben pause in his invisible reconnaissance. Vilgax stood near the main control panel, his massive form unmistakable. Albedo worked at a secondary station, making adjustments to the energy flow. Dr. Onimo monitored Julie's vital signs, taking notes with disturbing scientific detachment. But it was the fourth figure that truly surprised Ben, a tall, slender alien of unknown species, cloaked in flowing robes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. This being stood directly beneath the forming observer, hands raised as though conducting the energy flows, face hidden by a hood. Ben remained invisible, floating closer to hear their conversation. "The final sequence is ready," Albedo reported. "With the components acquired from the bank vault, we can stabilize the observer's matrix. The human girl's life energy provides the perfect anchor," Onimo added, adjusting something on Julie's monitors. "Her connection to Tennyson creates a harmonic resonance with his transformation patterns." The hooded figure spoke, its voice strangely melodic yet discordant. "The vessel forms well. Soon it will be ready to receive my consciousness." Consciousness? Ben hadn't expected that. The observer wasn't just a weapon, it was intended to house this being's mind. "Tennyson will come for the girl," Vilgax stated. "His predictability is his greatest weakness. His perfect control is our greatest asset," the hooded figure corrected. "The transformation energy he now commands will provide the final catalyst the observer requires." Ben had heard enough. He needed to warn Gwen and Eris about this new development. Silently, he began to retreat toward the ceiling. Then Julie stirred on the table, her eyes fluttering open. "Ben?" she murmured groggily. Albedo's head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "We have an intruder." The hooded figure raised a hand. "I sense transformation energy, unusual configuration. He is already here." A pulse of purple energy suddenly flooded the room, somehow disrupting Big Chill's intangibility. Ben found himself forcibly materialized, his hybrid form revealed to everyone below. "Well, that didn't last long," Ben muttered. "Tennyson!" Vilgax bellowed, already reaching for weapons. "Ben!" Julie called, struggling against her restraints. The hooded figure merely tilted its head, studying Ben's hybrid form with evident interest. "Fascinating. You've unlocked the Omnitrix's hybrid capabilities. Someone has been helping you." "Let Julie go," Ben demanded, hovering near the ceiling. "Your fight is with me." "This isn't a fight, Ben Tennyson," the figure said, lowering its hood to reveal an alien visage unlike any Ben had seen before, featureless except for glowing purple eyes and a mouth that seemed to shift position as it spoke. "This is a harvest." The being gestured, and purple energy lashed out like lightning, striking Ben's hybrid form. Instead of pain, he felt a strange pulling sensation, as though something was trying to extract his transformation energy directly. Instinctively, Ben channeled Chromastone's absorption abilities, drawing in the purple energy rather than resisting it. The power surged through his crystalline body, refracting and amplifying. "Impressive adaptation," the being noted, seemingly pleased rather than concerned. "You truly are the perfect catalyst." Ben redirected the absorbed energy in a powerful blast that struck the restraints holding Julie, vaporizing them instantly. "Grab her and run," he shouted to no one in particular, hoping Gwen and Eris were monitoring the situation. As if on cue, a mana platform burst through the floor, Gwen and Eris riding it into the lab. Gwen immediately threw shields around Julie while Eris fired energy weapons at the equipment surrounding the nascent observer. Chaos erupted. Vilgax charged toward Ben while Albedo transformed into a pyronite form to engage Gwen. Onimo released mutated lab animals from containment cages, sending them scrambling toward Eris. The hooded being remained calm amidst the mayhem, continuing to channel energy into the observer. "The convergence has begun," it announced. "Nothing can stop it now." Ben dodged Vilgax's initial attack, maintaining his hybrid form despite the temptation to switch to something with more raw power. The combination of Big Chill and Chromastone was proving surprisingly effective, phasing through physical attacks while absorbing energy-based ones. Your new tricks won't save you, Tennyson. Vilgax snarled, deploying energy weapons from his gauntlets. They're not tricks, Ben countered, absorbing the energy blasts and redirecting them back at Vilgax. Just the Omnitrix as it was meant to be used. Across the lab, Gwen had reached Julie, her mana shields protecting them both as she worked to fully free her from the something went wrong with this response. Please try again. Start the next proceed further with the next chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.